Welcome to Tea and Games. A little too hot to drink the tea. Oh gosh, my eyes are watering. The tea today is Yorkshire Gold, which is really good and really hot. Yeah, I thought it had cooled off more than that, but it's just a hot day, so maybe not. This weekend, I pulled a whole bunch of games off the shelf, like stack of games off the shelf to play, that all have kind of a summery theme or a summer tie-in or a summer feel to them. And we didn't make it very far through that stack because, and I mean, I knew we weren't going to. This weekend, Sunday at noon, was the memorial service for a friend who died, memorial and wake. And so Sunday was pretty much just spent with friends. And while, you know, I did have board games on the table, this was not the time to introduce new people to board games. But yeah, so we just only played on Saturday, some. But before I get to that, I have news. Yes, news. Somebody posted, I believe it was in one of the Discords, and I don't remember which one, that Ex Libris is getting a reprint. Dum, da, da, da. Because I covered the game not that long ago, and I know that a lot of people, it's out of print, and I know that a lot of people, this is on their Grail Games list, one of those games that they want to get a hold of but have never been able to find. And listed on the publisher's website is a second edition for Ex Libris. Looks like it's got new cover art, and there's also a new expansion, or maybe the expansion isn't new. I don't know that I ever looked into whether or not Ex Libris had expansions. My sweatband is sliding down into my eyes there for a moment. Everything went bright and blank. Kind of like me, bright and blank. No, just kidding. But yeah, it looks like those of you who have been wanting to get a hold of Ex Libris may have a shot at it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know whether or not it's going to go to Kickstarter or GameFound or BackerKit or any kind of crowdfunding thing. I don't know what changes the second edition will have made. I don't know anything about the expansion. I just know there's a pre-order button on the company website. And that's a very good sign for those of you who want Ex Libris. Also in the news category, if you have not heard about it yet, and if you are a fan of Firefly the game, which I am, Browncoats Forever gang, just keep flying. Anyhow, there is a 10th anniversary edition that is currently on GameFound. It's a big box, and as all of you know, if you've got multiple expansions for this, there's just, organization just does not exist unless you buy a massively expensive organization thing. I mean, it's just, I have been shifting things between boxes trying to come up with a good way to organize the massive number of cards because I've got everything. I mean, absolutely everything, including promo cards. This big box, it's going to be like a crate-sized box. It's going to have multi-level tiers for inserts and stuff, which will hold all of the expansions. It's gonna, the 10th anniversary is going to include the game, all of the expansions, the promo cards, the neoprene mat, not the Vera mat, though from some conversations like before it launched, it looks like the Vera mat could potentially be an add-on. But it will include like the whole damn verse mat. And it will have basically everything. And if, like me, you already have everything, there is a lower pledge option that's not an all-in. It's basically all the new stuff. And the new stuff includes a brand new expansion. So if you've got everything, this is worth taking a look at just because they do have an upgrade kit, because part of their upgrade is there's a new expansion that will be in this big box, and there are hand-painted minis of a whole bunch of ships, and theoretically this version will be able to play up to 10, which that just kind of blows my mind. I think a 10-player game of Firefly the game would probably last for days, but I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with the new expansion, because I was thinking that this played like 5 max with all the expansions and extra ships and stuff. I've never played it at a really huge player count because it takes like a good chunk of the day with just as a 2-player game. But anyhow, there's going to be a new expansion, hand-painted minis, neoprene mat, promo cards for those of you that weren't able to get a hold of the promo cards, all of the previous existing expansions, and you can get an upgrade which will have all the new stuff, and I think also the mat and the promo cards. So that is worth looking into. It is on GameFound. It is running right now. Also, and I didn't bring them over here. Hang on just a sec. Some of you have expressed interest in, when I mentioned postcard board games, was one of the things I back on Kickstarter. The 3rd set of postcard board games have been delivered. And these are 5 postcards, like legal tender. You can mail them, fill them out and mail them. And the person who does these is T. Charles Hauser. If you want to look him up on Kickstarter, just type in postcard board games, and I think there's more than one that does this, but T. Charles Hauser is the one that does the postcard board games that I mail to my friends every year. So it's just a fun little thing to do, like in the middle of the summer, mail board games. So follow him, because there's going to be more games coming in the future if you want to get in on that. And he has things where you can order some of the previous stuff, which is why I'm mentioning it, even though this has already fulfilled. I do not believe that he has an online shop. I think you just have to wait until he puts up a Kickstarter and then order back stuff. He's now branded himself as Old Schrader Creek, and it's got a really nice, pretty logo too. But I wanted to mention that because some of you have expressed interest in the postcard board game thing, which is a lot of fun. Do a little bit of snail mail here in the middle of summer. Now, of the games I pulled out for summer games, I did not pull out herbaceous, even though herbs generally are okay with hot, dry conditions of summer, more so than other plants, shall we say. But I'm having a hard time keeping my herbs, which are in containers, alive in the 100-degree-plus heat. So herbaceous is not in this giant stack, which you cannot see because I've actually got the little tripod camera thingy on top of the stack of the games that we haven't gotten to yet. And that is why this is Summer Games Part 1, because we're going to be playing a lot of summer games. I've got stacks and stacks of them. So yeah, there's more to come in coming weeks. But I am going to mention a little bit about herbaceous later in the video because it has an interesting tie-in to one of the other games. So, what do we play Saturday? This is it. 3 games, but we played 2 of them twice. I think we only played Dive once. Or did we play 2 times? Well, I may be twice. I don't remember. I'd have to look. But 1 or 2 plays of everything, mostly 2 plays of things. Trekking the World. Let me move my T's so that I do not spell. Trekking the World. I chose this as a summer game because, let's face it, summertime is a time when most people choose to travel or go on vacation or do something like that. Robert is, my husband Robert, we are casual weekend board gamers. Robert will never appear on this thing because he doesn't want to. For those of you who are new subscribers, and thank you to the new subscribers. I've got 70 subscribers now. That's just crazy. Anyhow, trekking the world, people go on summer vacations, and this is a fun little game. It's not that little, though. It takes up a huge chunk of your table. You need a good-sized table for this. You will not be able to play this on the coffee table or like a little round kitchen table or anything like this, because this is like an old-style board game that's got like a big board, and you place things out all the way around the board, or at least on 3 of the 4 sides of the board. Look at this board. I think I've mentioned this game before, but I do not think that I drug out the entire board. The board has this really nifty retro sort of look to it. I like it a lot. It folds up in interesting ways here. But yeah, and on the board, you may be able to see here, there are airports. You all start in an airport, and you can like basically go free. It's not a move if you're on an airport and you want to go to an airport that is on another continent here. If you want to jump over. And these spots here will have little cubes on them, and those cubes represent various types of souvenirs and stuff that you pick up, and you can score off of those if you get enough of them. If you pick up this little thing here, it has like a little folded map icon that you turn over to see what the bonus points are, but only after you have gotten all of one area. If you pick up all of the cubes on one particular continent, or I'm just using the 2 that you flip over here, but really pretty much any of them, if you get all the cubes, then you will get to claim that token and turn it over and see what you've got. There are more of those little token things than there are spots on the board. So you will shuffle them up and then lay them out on the board, number side down, in 6 locations. There are, I think, 2 6s, 2 5s, 2 4s, 2 3s, and 2 2s. That are your potential bonus numbers, which means that because there are some that stay in the box, sometimes your higher number bonuses for picking up all the cubes is not even going to be an option. So you don't know when you pick up all the cubes. If you're really diligent about doing that, you're going like, oh man, I'm going to get bonuses, and it could be 2, not 6. But you put those little cubes on your individual suitcase here, and you can see the columns you fill represent how many points you get at the end. This is the 2-player side of the board. This is the 3 and more player side of the board. The game has a wonderful insert. Just look at that. It is perfect. I mean, you can store this game, and it's not, stuff is not going to move all over the place because it's got a lid. And it's also got an insert that removes, because these are not coins, these are points. There is a section for 3 points and 5 points. And you put this up at the top of your board, right above some destinations, so that the destination on the far right, if you get that destination, you will also get a 5-point token. And if you get the destination next to it, the next to the rightmost, you will get a 3-point token. So that removes. In this little bag, you have the colored cubes that match the colors of the different continents, which you will just lay out randomly on the board. It comes with a score thing, but we actually used our phones to like calculate up our scores. These are the little map tokens that you put on there, and this one, if you get all the continents, would give you 4. These are your player tokens. This game plays up to 5. You've got 5 colored tokens here. You got like teal, brown, pink, and orange, and kind of a very pale yellow. And they are variously gendered. I think they're silhouettes, so I mean, it can be anything, because 2 of the silhouettes have hats. But there's 2 that definitely look kind of female, and 2 that are definitely male. These are, now despite, oh, and very good player reference cards, double-sided. These are the destinations, and despite the retro look of the map, the destination cards have beautiful artwork. I like the style of the artwork for these a lot. And you will notice down here at the bottom, there are symbols. Well, this you may recognize from the other things I've shown you. These are the points that you get for the destination. And that varies actually fairly widely. Like, see, that's 12. I think it goes down to 10, but see, this one is 18, and I don't know what the highest is. But these icons here represent features, and you need to match those in order to claim it. You need to have those colored cards and discard those colored cards, but you also have to be in that destination. You cannot claim this destination unless you have won each of these. You're at that destination and you discard them, which sometimes, and you're competing with other people, obviously, for these destinations, and you can move around the board. I mean, you notice on the board here, whoa, that there are little tracks and trails along here. Each one of these represents one movement. And how you move, if you're not flying to another continent to scoop something up, is you have these cards. You start off with a certain number of cards, and you have the option to draw a couple more in the second phase of your turn. Turns are really simple. The first part of your turn, you move. If you fly at the beginning of your turn, you still get to move. But the first card, you discard a card, and you must move the exact number that the number on the card, or multiple cards. But I mean, however you move, you must move that number. So I mean, if you've only got one card in your hand and it's a 1, then you're only moving one space on that turn. So you got to plan out your routes a little bit, and you draw cards and you discard cards, and you try to get to the destinations, and you try to get them, and you try to pick up the souvenirs. And as I said, you also discard these cards in order to get the destinations. There are 4 destinations that are laid out at the time. As I said, the 2 rightmost ones, they will give you extra points, but the leftmost ones should not be overlooked, particularly if you're on a continent and you're right next to it. There is another couple of decks here that you work with. These are journey decks. You have 1 card from each one, and you can discard a couple of cards in order to take a journey on your second turn instead of drawing up a couple of cards. And that will, taking a journey as opposed to taking a tour, the journey cards here will give you like extra bonuses, maybe make it easier for you to take those tours. And you have infinite replayability because there's a bunch of different like extra special things that you can do on your turn that may be different with every single game. And these are souvenir token cards which move from player to player depending upon who has the most of each color. See, like, well, suitcase here. See, yellow, blue, red, white. If you have the most of each one, and you have to have a minimum of 2 to even claim it to begin with, then you get that card, and that will get you bonuses at the end of the game, but they're not all equal. Like most postcards will only get you 4 points, whereas most crafts, like buying jewelry and stuff, will get you, oh, it's a different number. I didn't realize that. The 2-player side, you get 7 points for it, because we only have it for 2-player side, and the 3+ player side, you would get more. So yeah, the value changes, but the lowest is 4 and the highest is 7 for 2 players. And for more than 2, the highest is 12 and the lowest is 9. So that is just like a little overview look of the game. It is a lot of fun. I don't know, it kind of has an old-fashioned board game feel to it. Very competitive, very beautiful. I would like to play it with more players. So far, we have only played it with 2 people. And this game is also, you should probably be aware if you are not already, that this game is part of a series of games, a trekking series. There is, besides Trekking the World, there is Trekking the National Parks, and there is Trekking through history or Trekking through time. There's some other one that is like historical, I think. So there are versions of this, and I believe the gameplay is a bit different for each one. They're not just reskins of things. So if you like one, you might like another. But we played a couple of games of that. Robert is so good at this game. I mean, he is just really, really good at this game. Get the lid back on this thing. And snap it down. He wins most of these. This past weekend, I got a rare and I would say probably quite lucky win. But that is Trekking the World. And we had a lot of fun playing it. It's a nice summer game. It's not a travel size game. It is a game about travel. So if you are traveling locally or not traveling at all for vacation this summer, this would be a good slot in to let you virtually go around the world by plane or by foot. And moving around the board is a little bit trickier than you would think sometimes. We also played, scoot the games back over here, we also played Dive. And I've talked about this before. I got this game specifically to be a summer game because essentially you are playing people who are diving. And that whole diving into cool blue waters just sounds so good when the temperatures are 100 degrees. But I've showed this in other things. This is your dive board with your points. I'm not going to go over this too much because if you've seen some of my other ones, this is for the solo game. It does have a solo mode. It has little companion creatures you can have for a more advanced version of the game. But we usually play like the really simple, just basic game of this. And it's kind of guesswork in a way because you are on your turn trying to look down through the levels of these acrylic sheets and see, oh, yeah, I'm going to need this, and see what's there. You've got to program your moves on your player board. You put the little dive tokens here, like whether or not you think that there's going to be a shark on the top level, or the next level, or the next level, or the next level. That's the first thing you do is you have to decide shark or no shark. And that is our alternate name for this game. We call it shark or no shark. Let's play shark or no shark. It's like, because when you program your moves around your dive board, they're behind a screen, so nobody can see what anybody else is programming, because besides deciding whether or not there's shark or no shark, if you were correct about shark or no shark, then you can check for the next thing, which would be manta rays or sea turtles, is it? No, that's not a sea turtle. That's a sea star. Where is the turtle? Ooh, look at the eel. And you can have these turned either way when you shuffle them. Some of the acrylic sheets have bubbles on them to make it trickier to see down and tell what the levels are. This one also has a turtle. Red turtles and green turtles allow you to advance on the dive board 1 or 2 squares. Manta rays let you catch up to the player that is ahead of you, though that does not work if you are in the deeper water. Where's the board? Dive board, yeah, deep water. Darker, deeper water. Our games of this are really close because there's a certain amount of guesswork. I mean, it's partly depth perception, but you're only going to do so well with depth perception. And so particularly but the first 2 levels you're going like, okay, is that on the second level? Okay, the shark's tail is going over that. So I know that that shark is on a level above that. But is that the second level or the third level? Or could that, but there's another shark there, and that could be a fourth level. You know, so you're trying to figure it out. It's partly deduction, because you can sometimes see that, let me put this on here like this, you can sometimes see that something will be overlapping something else. And that will kind of help you a little bit in determining levels. Isn't this just gorgeous? I really love the look of this game. I just do. But I mean, it's very lightweight. It's very fun, you know, and it's like you program your moves, you make your best guesses, because this is kind of a guessing game. You're trying to use depth perception, but there's a certain amount of guesswork involved, because you have to get shark or no shark right in order to be able to score for sea turtles and manta rays. And whoever puts down the highest number for the level that has sea turtles and manta rays, assuming you both choose correctly about shark or no shark, then whoever has the highest number that you've programmed in with your tokens for that level will get the bonus movement from the sea turtles or manta rays. And you can stack numbered tokens, so you can stack them so that you can like outbid somebody for that sea turtle or manta ray that you think is on level 2, but it could be level 3. But it's a fun little game. Have your little diver tokens here. And as I said, there is a solo mode for it. And there are some companion animals, which lends, and they're in the very bottom of the box, and everything's falling now. Companion animals which you can use, which will give you special powers during play. And we usually just keep it really simple, like a light, fast thing. We look, and you can use your flashlight to shine underneath to see. We watched the video from the company. That's totally legit to do that. Although, I'm not sure that really helps. But you look, and you put your little screen up, and you program what you think, where you think the sharks are, and you choose your numbers based upon where you think the sea turtles are and trying to outbid other people. And then everybody reveals at the same time, shark or no shark. And then you pick up one sheet at a time, lay it on the screen, and see if there's a shark or no shark there. And if there's a shark, then you lose that level and all the levels above it. Or, I mean, all the levels below it. But you will still be able to score for the levels that you got right. So, I mean, if you don't bomb out on like the first level or the first couple of levels, then you can still get like points, because you get points for the ones that you get right. You do get to progress on the dive board for that. But then if you get the sharks right, you get to score for other things. If you don't get the sharks right, then you can only score for the things you did get right. It's a fun game. We keep it light, fast, fun, simple. Shark or no shark. The only caveat I would say about this game is that, and I mean, it is, because it's fast and fun and light, that keeps with the whole cool, breezy sea theme. I like this game. I like it as a summer game. But the only downside to this is you should be aware, those acrylic sheets, when you first open this box for the very first time, there is a god-awful chemical smell. I mean, they stink to high heaven. I mean, very, very high, like, chemical emissions. So when you crack open this box for the first time, it should not be on the day that you intend to play it. And particularly, some people I know are very, very sensible to VOCs outgassing from synthetic materials. So you should open this up, say, a week before you intend to play it. Spread all of the sheets out somewhere to air out where people won't be breathing it, and turn them over periodically. And let them air out for, I would say, a week, or at least close to a week before you play the game. And that way you won't gas anybody when you open up the box to play. And after that, it's okay. But when you first open the box, yeah, it's just been sealed up in there, and those acetate sheets or whatever they are, that's not a good thing. But the game is fun. And I would say it's worth it if you want to go to the trouble to just air out the sheets when you first get the game. Definitely a fun game for summer. And of the games that I pulled off of these shelves, I don't know. I think this may be the top thing in terms of just that summer feel. Because, I mean, you're diving through water and sea creatures, and it feels so cool, and you're so hot. It's just, the other game we played, and we played a couple of rounds of this, is Sunset Over Water. Well, I'm holding up the instruction sheet rather than the box. This is the Pocket Edition. This game is from Pencil First Games, which makes Herbaceous that I mentioned earlier. And so the cards are small. It comes in a very, very small box with little tokens there, and you lay out a 5x5 grid of very, very beautiful cards. You get them out of here. Actually, I think I'll put an insert in here of beautiful cards all laid out, but I will show you some of these. Yeah, there's beautiful, beautiful things, and they have icons on them like this, and you are trying to match those icons to the commissions. You're painting the landscapes, and you compete to see who is getting up earliest and how many moves you can make and what directions you can move. You turn over those cards. Each player has a separate deck of cards, and they choose they turn over 3, and then they choose one to be the one that they use for their number of moves, how early they get up, and the play order depends upon who has the earliest time getting up, and then direction you can move and how many spaces you can move, and then down here would be how many landscapes you can paint. And you pick up cards along your route. You cannot cross over. You can cross over cards that have other painters on them, but you cannot cross over gaps that have been made by people picking up cards, and that's just, I think that would be really difficult with people playing with more than 2 players. It plays really well with 2. And you have, these are your commission cards where you're trying to get those things in order to paint landscapes and get points off of them. And you also have dailies that you can do. If you're the last person, that's kind of like a compensation prize for people who are going last, assuming that the last person can actually make this, which what we found sometimes is not the case. But I said I was going to mention Herbaceous again, and I'm going to. Herbaceous is also by Pencil First Games, and you may notice that the box for Herbaceous is considerably bigger than the box for Sunset Over Water. And this gives you some idea of the difference in the card size between, because Pencil First does have pocket editions of a number of games, including Herbaceous, but I got the standard side Herbaceous. They're pretty much the same, except that I know that in the standard side of Herbaceous, the herb cards have the names of the herbs on them, like that's dill. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. Even the backs of the cards are pretty on this. But here's the thing about Herbaceous. This box, and there's your little planter things, this box that this card game comes in is actually like twice the size that it needs to be. It's got space here for more cards. I believe when I opened the box up that this deck was divided between the 2 spaces, but I realized like that box is like way too big. And then I got to looking at this, and I realized that I could put Sunset Over Water, not boxed. Actually, I haven't tried it boxed, but no, not boxed. Not boxed, but Sunset Over Water will fit the pocket edition of it. I don't know about the regular, but the pocket edition of it will definitely fit into this side. And I did it in another video, and now I don't think I can because I'm being all fumble-fingered and because I'm trying not to mess up the cards, which I have just, I think, messed up. Okay, so these are, yeah, these are landscape cards. And some of the other cards that we've got there. This even includes the solo game. Put all the little cards in there. And you have room to lay down the little meeples on here. I'll show you what I mean. So, Sunset Over Water, it's a really good size for travel, although you do need a little bit of table space to play it if you take it somewhere, because you're laying out a 5x5 grid cards this size. Those are not landscape cards, but still, they're all the same size. You know, 5x5 of these cards. And you also need space in front of each player to collect the cards that they have collected and to put together the cards that they have gotten. There's the biscuit card, which is the bonus for Herbaceous, which I had taken out earlier. And here's the Sunset Over Water instructions and Herbaceous instructions, and it can all go into this box. So, I mean, this game is small enough that you can just stick it in a bag if you want to take it for you. Though, like I say, you do need a little bit of space. It's not got a super small footprint because you've got a tableau and then everybody's collecting stuff in front of them. But if you want to take 2 games with you on, say, a weekend getaway, the standard side version of Herbaceous will hold the pocket version of Sunset Over Water. And this itself is, like, this is a pretty small, compact kind of box. So, I mean, for vacationing or something like that, you can get a twofer in a fairly small box here. And that's another way of looking at summer games, is games that you can travel with. And definitely I would say Sunset Over Water and Herbaceous would fall into that category. I would say Dive and Trekking the World maybe not so much. But yeah, this is what we played Saturday. And as I said, Sunday was taken up with friends because we lost a friend. We're going to be playing more summer games that have a summery kind of theme to them. I'll give you a quick rundown. The boxes are like stacked and the camera is on some of the stacks, but included in this is going to be in future videos. I'm going to talk about our playthroughs of New York Zoo, Tenpenny Parks, both of which I've talked about before, Walking in Burano. Welcome to, we've got the dry erase expansion for the summer theme with the ice cream cones. And oh man, the Easter Bunny gave us a lot of problems. So it should be really interesting to see what summer brings. And parks. We have not played parks this year. In fact, we have not played parks literally in years because we got the Nightfall expansion years ago and we have not played parks since we got it. So we have a new expansion to learn for that, and we're probably going to just have to learn the game all over again because, like I said, it's literally been years since we played it. A few years, actually. So yeah, I'm going to take a look at that and the Nightfall expansion, and maybe throw in Cottage Garden. I didn't pull that off the shelves, but that has nice summery flowers too. But that's what we've been playing, and that's what we're going to be playing. It's been good sitting around the table chatting with y'all. I thought this video was going to be much shorter than what it was going to be. And I'm sorry about that. I always try to keep these things short, and that's why I talk so fast. But they never end up being short, even when the games are short. But it's been fun, and I hope you'll join me around the table next time for more summery games. I may even think of some more that I have forgotten, because it's like, when I started pulling things off the shelf, I kind of thought, wow, I've actually got a lot of games that have kind of a summer feel to it. We can keep this summer thing going for a while. Although, maybe let's kind of opt out of the summer heat. It has just been so hot, just hot as blazes here. So it's a good time to stay inside in the air conditioning and play games. I'll see you next time round the table. Bye.